Welcome to Joa Fitness Health Wellness Video Podcast, a space to ignite your day through positive conversations. We bring people that have created excellence in their life, sharing high vibration in their reawakening path.
Everybody, my name is Joa Rivas and welcome to Joa Fitness Podcast. I've been doing this for about 3 years and it's very exciting to bring new topics related to posture. And we have a series with Dr. Andy Bryant. He is in the city of Melbourne in Australia. So I wanted to introduce him for the second series of the posture and the feet. He's a podiatry doctor, so I want to know about more about the feet and the connection with the spine. How are you, Andy?
I'm well, thanks, Joa. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So here I am in the city of Toronto. You are in Melbourne, very, very far away, but we're still connecting in one topic, which is posture. Thank you so much for being here. Very blessed to have you. And I wanted to just remind everybody I am having this podcast just because I had scoliosis. When I was 15, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And I spent 10 years of my life finding the way to improve my back because I have chronic back pain and it was not fun. And I think you may be listening to this or watching this on YouTube because you also have neck pain, back pain, hip pain. And sometimes we just don't know the causes that could be even deeper than just having an scoliosis. It could be what the shoes that we are using are not the proper shoes that we're having. And that's why we have Dr. Andy today talking about feet. So today, Andy, we want to talk about how to choose the shoes for lifting and for running. So specifically for these two activities, how we can choose. And I know you always have shoes with you around and you can show it on the YouTube channel. So thank you, Andy. Tell us a little bit about what are the main characteristics of the shoe that we want to find to perform properly in our activities.
Well, I think it's an important point you made about the scoliosis and how the shoes might affect that. Because if we're adding another variable, and that might be a heel or a cushion, then it's going to aggravate the scoliosis. So the ground is the firmest and hardest thing, and really want to be closest to the ground as possible, because then our body gets feedback on how to move. And so that's important for a scoliosis, I think. Although sometimes a scoliosis can create a leg length difference, and we might then put a heel lift into a shoe as well. But to go back to your specific question, if we want to talk about lifting shoes, I think if you look at all the best lifters in the world, they will be lifting barefoot when they're training, or in shoes that are allowing them to feel the ground so their feet can be engaged and can help them push off the ground, like using the ground as a big part of it. But then when they're in a competition phase, or occasionally when they're pushing very hard, they might put a lifting shoe on, which is a shoe with a bit of a heel, because this gives you a mechanical advantage to lift a little bit heavier. I liken it to when I was training on my push bike. I might train on a heavy bike, but when it came to race day, I used the lightest bike because I want to engage my body as much as I can for training. But when it comes to race day or competition day, you want to get the best out of it. And so then not having such a flat shoe, just having a little bit of a heel in the heel is helpful in the competition. So, but for day to day and for most regular gym users, if you're using a lifting shoe or a shoe with a heel, you're just you're not getting the most out of your workout, and you're also making an accommodation for tight ankles. And maybe you should just not squat as heavily, or maybe you should not go so deeply into the squat. Just work within your range rather than using a shoe to help you. That's what I would suggest. Yeah.
Okay. So for footwear minimalist, you are posting about the top 3 brands and how to choose them. But my question comes, like, why the reason of be selling those high heels shoes? Is it more like for the look and the look of it, or more for the functionality? Because you're saying if the heel is a little higher, it could be in your advantage.
It can be, but for that's only for lifting, say, doing a squat. But for day to day, I think maybe from the age of 4, we put our kids in little heels. And so then it just becomes what we're comfortable with. And then the shoe companies aren't going to change that. It's just what they're used to. It also feels cushioned and like a couch. It's like laying in a couch. It feels good, but it may not be best for your functional body. So if you're just laying in the couch all day, you know that's not good for you. Same sitting on the heeled shoe with cushions. And so, but the shoe company doesn't really care about what's good for you. It really cares about selling the shoe. And when you go into the shoe shop, they want you to put on a shoe that feels good. So then you walk off. And so that post that you're talking about, when I looked at Reebok, well, I looked because minimalist shoes are quite niche and the brands that make them are very small and no one really knows about them. And so people are always asking me which of the big shoe brands make something that's a bit more natural foot function friendly. And so Nike have one, and this is a great example. They have one that looks wide and looks flat, but they put a 1 centimetre cushioned heel within it that's secret hidden in there. Unless you pull the insole out, you don't know it. And so when you go to the shop and you compare that to another shoe that's more functional, you'll feel better in that one because it's what you're used to. And so this is like a sales ploy, basically. They would know that you're better off squatting or deadlifting or moving in a flat, uncushioned shoe, but they put this in there anyway. So that's the Nike Metcon. If you take the insole out, it's very good. And there's the Reebok Nano. It's got a really broad forefoot, and the insole in that is very thin, so you could leave it in there if you felt like it. And then New Balance also make the Minimus, which is actually got a little, they tell you it's got a 4 mil drop. So it's 4 mils higher in the heel and nothing in the back, which is negligible, but it's still a drop. And if someone that's used to being flat put that on, they would definitely feel it.
Okay.
They probably do that to make it a little bit more comfortable as well. I think that's the reason for these people putting it in there.
Okay.
When we put a heel on, it makes our ankle unstable. It puts you in a disadvantaged position for your ankle and for your whole posture up the chain when we put that heel on. So these shoes are being sold for like CrossFit or for people going to the gym. They're not really the shoe that people would buy to run in. Which brings me to your next question, which is the best one to run in. Mm-hmm. And that is what they're selling in the shop. They're selling a heeled cushioned shoe because most of us have always run in a shoe like that. And so we've become a heavy overstriding, like putting our foot out in front of us with a heavy heel strike as well. And so when if we try and run without that heel, it hurts. And so they're not going to give you a shoe or sell you a shoe that hurts, even though it's not really the correct way to run.
Okay, so we have mentioned 3 brands for those that are actually searching. We have the Reebok Nano, we also have the New Balance Minimus, and we have the Nike Metcon. So those are the 3. Those are kind of like either or. We are okay with those 3, do you think, or we should just select the Reebok?
I think the Reebok is the best one out of those. It's the closest to being minimal, and the other 2 are more like a transition shoe. That aren't as pure and then purely minimalist, but they're still better than most shoes out there. I'd still rather see someone lifting in those than in their runners, you know.
So with Reebok Nano, we are safe lifting and running. Kind.
Oh, yeah, so running, if your technique is right. If you try and run in that with your poor technique, it will probably hurt.
Okay.
Because they're very thin at the back.
Also, CrossFit doesn't do long runs. CrossFit is more of a high-intensity run.
Yeah, that's right. But still people will run short distances with very poor technique, landing their foot into the ground, their heel into the ground.
Okay. Is there any particular technique that you kind of recommend? I know it may be so long of a topic, but is there anything in particular that we have to make sure that we avoid or do when we run?
So the big negativity in running is an overstride. This is when we put our foot out in front of us a long way. We do this a lot because we sit a lot, so our hips get tight, and it helps us to it makes it easier, we think, to push our foot out in front of us. And so there are different methods of like brands of running, but really they all come back to a very natural pose, almost like the way a child would run around the edge of a swimming pool when they're barefooted on a hard surface. Can you imagine? Like just running a bit faster, a shorter cadence. And so these methods that are worth looking into for the people that are listening, my favourite is Older Yet Faster. It's a book that you can buy, and it takes you through how to run naturally. And then there's something called the pose method, and there's something called the chi method, CHI. And then there's many run coaches now that all teach it as a skill rather than something that you should just be able to naturally do. And mostly they are looking at trying to correct your posture while you're running. And if your posture is correct, your legs will do the right thing as well.
Yes, the core activation. Yes, true.
Yes.
So the last point when we choose our shoes, what about the toe box? That's very important. Some people have wider feet than others. Some people say to wear them tight so your feet is tight on your shoe. So what do you think is the number one characteristic of the shoe for the toe box?
So if we look at it the way a foot came into the world, as babies, we're widest between the tip of the big toe and the tip of the little toe. But then with time, our shoes are generally widest here and they squash our toes like this. And so if we don't have a straight big toe, it cuts off the blood supply. We've just found in recent research that they've cut off the blood supply on the inside of the foot, leading to more heel pain, bunions, corns, calluses. It's the short wide toe box is to the detriment of any foot. We really want as wide as possible. Can you see that? Like really wide like this.
Okay.
Very wide. You can see it better there.
That shoe that you're holding, what's the brand for that shoe?
This is called Bryant Barefoot, and they're a pure minimalist barefoot shoe. And this is a trail shoe that they sent me, which is very light, flexible, very thin at the heel. So that's like the ultimate barefoot shoe. Either you're barefoot or you've got this on, and there's not much difference. This just protects you from something sharp going into you.
Okay.
You feel everything, and that's how you should be, your body responding to the ground like that.
Okay, all right. Well, at least we got those brands here in Canada. I know we can find those brands, particularly those models also we can order online. And what about the last question will be choosing the size of our shoe? Should we choose it a little bit bigger, or should we use it tight? How would be the best to choose the size?
Well, there was an interesting comment on my post about the Nikes and Reeboks saying, oh, when I tried them on, they felt huge, because we're so used to squashing our feet and feeling it against the shoe against our toes, that when we put a shoe on that truly fits, it feels big.
Okay.
Like when I put this on, it feels huge, but my toe is like this far from the end, like that far, maybe 1 centimeter from the end or half a centimeter. I shouldn't be able to feel the shoe against my toes, but not so long that you're going to be tripping over, obviously. But if you can feel it, it's not helpful. If there's any squishing, not good.
Okay, so we have to have a plenty space that our toes can be comfortable, and our big toe is not actually compressing. Okay, nice. Yeah. Okay, well, that's important. I think I'm gonna order this week actually the Nano, the Reebok Nano. I'm actually researching, and then you actually posted about it. That you give me the green light. I am coming back to the gym. As people know, like Canada has been locked down for almost a year. The gyms just opened up 2 weeks ago, so I'm actually excited to be back. But I noticed I don't have the proper shoes to train, so I'm definitely gonna buy that pair. I bought a New Balance that did not work out. Like I always feel like tight calf in my knees, and I know probably are the shoes. So talking about this with you has been very helpful. I'm definitely gonna try those Nano shoes. And how long does it take your feet to adapt to this type of shoe? Like, does it take like few sessions, a week?
It depends on how much barefoot you do anyway. Like for you personally, do you go barefoot at home or do much barefoot anyway?
Yes, I love to work barefoot, even though my mom never allowed me to work barefoot at home. I particularly naturally I love to be barefoot.
Yeah, so you'll transition very easily, but you hear of people that say I can't go without a heel, and we're not talking like big heels. They just need a heel because their calf has become so short from wearing a heel all the time. So they might take a bit longer. They might need to do some more soft tissue work. They might need to transition more gently.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm excited to try it. I think the best way for us to know all what you're saying is to actually experience walking barefoot, experience walking on these shoes that are very flattened, and then also learn these new mechanics that actually are the natural way to be, and sometimes we forget. I love to train at the gym barefoot, but many gyms have safety guidelines that they don't allow us to be barefoot. Sometimes I ask if I can be barefoot on the squat rack, just in that area, just to be like safe in that area. But I know we have a lot of limitations sometimes because the liabilities on the gyms. When you have a chance, take a walk outside on the nature and like do some earthing. And like Dr. Andy promotes a lot about practicing barefoot walking, very important for us. And well, thank you, Andy. I think we all now are ready to get those new shoes and try them out and see, because now is the season, at least in Canada, the season to start coming back to the gym. So it's very exciting for us. Anything else that you want to add today before we end our call?
No, maybe next time we can talk about transitioning and the things to expect with that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can chat about that. I love our talks, and I'm looking forward to hear your comments. And if you have any topics that you would like to talk about feet, especially with Dr. Bryant, we're here for you. So remember that you can find him on Instagram as Andy Bryant Podiatrist. I'm going to post it right on the notes, all information about how to contact Andy. Do you do any virtual consultations, or anything is only on Melbourne?
I know I do online consultations, but mostly I try and find someone who's local first. So if people contact me, I'll try and find someone who works similarly to me nearby, and then we go from there.
Exactly. Is there any projects that you want to share with us that you have coming on this month of August?
Me? No, not really.
Okay, well, you never know, something coming up later. I'm very blessed and grateful to have you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day over there in Australia. It's actually time to sleep. For us, it's just the beginning of the day. Thank you so much for your time. And remember that together we are stronger. Thank you.
Thank you.
We invite you to subscribe to this channel and share with your community. Please leave comments below, and if you like the episode, click the like button. Have a beautiful day.